are this again to continue with our discussion with enzymes. So, we have natin enzyme class oxidoreductase enzyme. So, the biochemical activity is oxidation reduction process. So, when you say oxidation, that is addition of oxygen, removal of hydrogen, and reduction is removal of oxygen and addition of hydrogen atom. So, reactions act on many chemical groupings to add or remove hydrogen atoms. So, example yan, lactate dehydrogenase, glucose oxidase, so oxidation yan, peroxidase, oxidation, catalase, di ba? And then we have phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay. So, oxidoreductases, so catalyze in oxidation reduction reactions. So, we have example, L-lactate. Baka L-lactate is levolactate. So, it undergoes dehydrogenation process catalyzed by enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. So, there is a formation of pyruvate. Okay. There is removal of your what we call this one, hydrogen, and at the same time may addition pa rin ng oxygen kasi nag-double bond na siya. Plus NADH. So, what is NAD gani? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That is the reducing agent that is being used. So, plus hydrogen atom. Ito na yung na-remove. Okay? Next. Dalawa yung na-remove ha. Ito pala. Okay? So, oxidase, peroxidase, dehydrogenase. Next, another one is transferase. So, ito na natin. We have transfer of functional group methyl or phosphate between donor and molecule. So, take note of the examples. Transaminases. Okay? We have phosphotransperases, the kinases. Transmethylases, transpeptidase, acylases. Or this one is transfer of acyl group, peptide group, methyl group, phospho group, and we have the amino group. Next, transferases catalyze the group of transfer of reactions. So, we have alanine plus alpha ketoglutarate. So, transaminase meaning addition of the amino group at the alpha ketoglutarate. So, saan galing yung amino group niya? Doon sa L-alanine. So, kung remove siya, ang product is pyruvate and L-glutamate. So, meaning, i-remove mo itong ammonia, it will form pyruvate. Pag-add mo ito ng ammonia sa second carbon atom, L-glutamate. So, alanine transferase enzyme, the reaction is reversible process. When you say arrow, two opposite arrow, that is reversible. Next, hydrolases. So, biochemical activity. So, ito yung enzymes involved in hydrolysis process. Addition of water across the bond. Okay, when you add water, there is splitting of compound. So, example are protein hydrolyzing enzymes, peptidases, carbohydrates, amylase, maltase, lactase. So, amylase, usually ito yung enzyme involved in the catalysis of the glucose, and maltase for mannose, and lactase for lactose. Okay. Lipid hydrolyzing enzymes, we have lipase, which hydrolyze lipids, of course, deaminase, removal of amino group, phosphatases, addition of the phosphate group in the process of phosphorylation. So, we have hydrolases, catalyze hydrolysis reactions where water is the acceptor of the transferred group. So, we have pyrophosphate, for example, plus water. So, the enzyme is pyrophosphatase. So, there is what we call formation of the phosphate group. Okay? So, example yung mga esterases, peptidases, glucosidases. Next, Lyses, biochemical activity. Cleave various bonds by means other than hydrolysis and oxidation. So, you add water, ammonia, carbon dioxide across the double bond or remove these elements to produce double bond. So, usually, pwede mong i-remove yung water, i-remove yung ammonia and carbon. Ang product niya is a double bond. For example, fumarase and carbonic anhydrase. Okay, so, later on, we will discuss about carbonic anhydrase. So, we have Lyases. This one, example, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is converted to dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde phosphate. So, there is splitting of the compound that is acted by aldolase enzyme. So, ang actions naman, ang reactions dito are reversible process. Kasi may dalawang arrow, opposite arrow. So, isomerases, again. So, catalyze isomerization. So, as what we have discussed. So, pwede siya mag-isomerize into L and D isomerase. So, mutase reaction shifts of chemical groups. So, samples are isomerase and mutase. So, isomerase, catalyze isomerization process. So, L-alanine is converted to D-alanine. So, ang natabo dyan, rotation na lang yan ng imo na ammonia pakadto dito sa piyak. So, this is already D, dextro. Okay? Ang L naman, yung direction is pakadto sa piyak. Okay? O, clockwise and counterclockwise. Ito counterclockwise, ito yung clockwise. That is catalyzed by enzyme alanine racemase. The reaction is reversible process. Ligases, biochemical activity, join two molecules with covalent bonds, catalyze reaction in which two chemical groups are joined with the use of energy in the form of ATP. That's why we have discussed it. So, parang recap ito. Acetyl coenzyme carboxylase and glutamine synthetase enzyme. Yan, ligation or joint of two substrate, then removal of chemical energy. For example, yan, we have L-glutamate is converted to L-glutamine. So, there is what we call a removal, addition, of the amino group. Okay? At the same time, removal of energy. Okay? Requires energy, requires energy to correct. So, in the form of ATP. At the same time, itong amino group, nag-add dito sa first carbon atom. Okay? So, what are the important drugs, the important medical use or pharmacological use, of the enzyme. So, we have allopurinol. So, this is xanthine oxidase inhibitor, inhibits this enzyme because ito yung cause ng gout. Decomarol, anticoagulant, so inhibits beta-K epoxide reductase. Transpeptidase inhibitor yung penicillin. Okay? Sulfonamide steroid synthetase enzyme. So, ito yung process ng DNA synthesis. So, antibiotic yan. You have the folic acid. Okay? Dihydrogen reductase enzyme. So, antibiotic. Methotrexate. Walang enzyme inhibited, anti-cancer. We have the DNA polymerase enzyme. Okay? DNA polymerase enzyme virus. So, this is act as antiviral. So, ina-inhibit ng acyclovir si DNA virus polymerase enzyme. DNA polymerase virus enzyme because this enzyme involved in the translation or polymerization, or copying of the virus. No? Nakopy ng virus yung DNA ng host cells. Okay? So, it needs a polymerase enzyme. So, in-inhibit niya ng acyclovir. We have 5-fluorouracil thymidylate synthetase enzyme, so anti-cancer. We have alpha-methyl dopa. Ito yung enzyme acted by enzyme dopa decarboxylase, usually treatment of hypertension. Osaltimiber, neuraminidase. So, ito yung enzymes involved in the DNA synthesis also. Okay? Or translation process. So, ito yung used in the treatment of influenza.